The Bitcoin ETF just got approved faster than anyone ever expected. This is huge news, but it's not the whole story, because this ETF isn't the catalyst that's going to bring Bitcoin up over $100,000. Something else will. And if you're perceptive, you already know what's going to bring it up over $100,000. So let's discuss this. Let's discuss the details that you need to know about this new ETF. Like, does the ETF really matter? Where will prices go from here? Does this mean that the bull run is finally on, that it's official this time? And if this won't bring Bitcoin past $100,000, what will? We're going to cover all that. First with the ETF. So the Bitcoin ETF, it got approved only a few days after the SEC posted a fake tweet about it being approved. Or I guess it's not a fake tweet, I don't know. They then redacted that tweet saying that it was a mistake. That made me assume that we're still probably months away from this thing actually being approved, not just days. So with that fake tweet being that close to the actual approval, you think they would have just gone with it and been like, oops, we busted the news a bit prematurely. This has never happened before. Give us a few days. We'll recoup. We'll be back. We'll have this ETF. So they didn't do that. And then they just dropped this big bombshell on everyone saying like, all right, full Bitcoin ETF approval. We're good to go. 11 different ETFs. It's like, all right, that's kind of a weird way to go about this. Maybe fix something with your media team. Something's up there, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But not only are these ETFs approved, but you can actually purchase and trade them right now, like this morning. So why does any of this matter, though? There's a few major reasons. First, a big one is ease of purchase. Now, this might not matter at all to you right now. You understand crypto. You get it. You're like, I can just get a Coinbase account or KuCoin account or wherever you trade, buy crypto. Like, that's no big deal to you. But for a lot of people, for millions of people, that's not the case. And it is the case that over time, crypto has gotten so much easier to purchase. But it still has a lot of room to go. Like, it's easier for you because you're tech savvy, but that's not the case for everyone. Like, my first Bitcoin purchase ever, maybe you use this service, it was from this service called Local Bitcoins. It was insane looking back at it now compared to what we can do like in 2024. But you would go on this app, you would find someone who would meet up with you in person, you'd give that person cash, and then they would transfer Bitcoin into your account. That's how I bought my first Bitcoins in must have been 2012, 2013. I lost that account. I have like $9,000 in crypto in that account that I'll never see again. So I'm one of those people who, has some Bitcoin locked away that I'll never see. But yeah, I had like $2,000 or $200 that turned into $9,000 that I can't access, but whatever. Crypto's gotten so much easier though to purchase, and this is just the next level of that. Because crypto isn't easy for everyone. Like, think about your old aunt, your grandma and grandpa, like they've heard about crypto, but most cases, they don't want to purchase it. But if they can just do it through their stock brokerage that they already have, that's opening this up to so many more people. Second big factor here is security. Now, custody of crypto is a huge concern, especially for wealthy people and for old people. And starting with old people, just think about like the average old person. All they really know about crypto are the extremes. Like, they've heard the stories about the FTX blow up. They've heard the stories about this volatile asset, all these cyber criminals doing blah, blah, blah. And they've heard the story of all the hype and like the craziness behind it, but they don't really hear about the middle ground. So those old people, they're like, I'm gonna just stay out of that craziness for the most part. Like some people, their grandpa probably buys Bitcoin. Like you probably have the cool grandpa who buys Bitcoin maybe. But on average, it's a big concern. Like security is a huge concern, especially for old people where it's like you should invest more safely the older you get. So that's a huge concern that is solved in a big way by these ETFs because you don't have to have the custody yourself. You don't have to learn a new type of app or website where that you have to sign up and then buy crypto. Again, this doesn't sound like much to you, but to a lot of people, especially older people being the ones who hoard basically the majority of all the wealth in the world, those are the ones who are now getting easier access to this. That's why that's important. But then we also have wealthy people and wealthy old people. But there's a lot of wealthy people who maybe they're interested in crypto, who maybe a few $1 million, that's a drop in the bucket for them, but they don't want to worry about some kind of self-custody or trusting, the custody of some exchange where all you hear about are securities concerns and hacks and stuff like that. So there's all these wealthy people who this is now opening up to, because again, they can just open their stock brokerage website or app and just buy crypto through an ETF. And through an ETF, that is custody directly. You can just buy any of the 11 ETFs that are now purchasable. You get that direct exposure. You get very low custody risk, all for like a low fee of like 0.2 to 0.8%, depending on the ETF that you choose. If you're personally interested in like investing in one of these ETFs just for the ease, I looked into it. It looks like iShares has the lowest fees for the ETFs, but they're pretty tight in range. So take a look at the list and then decide whichever one makes sense for you. Or just, you probably understand how to use a crypto exchange, so just do that. You won't have to pay the fee. And now we have institutional investors. This is a huge one in terms of why the ETF matters, particularly for the price of Bitcoin and then all other cryptos. Because remember, Bitcoin has this gravity to it. If Bitcoin gets this much more traction, this much more credibility, goes up in price, all other cryptos kind of float with it because of that major gravity of Bitcoin. So institutional investors, this is really important because there are many large-scale institutional investors that can't directly invest into alternative asset classes. It's one of those things that isn't really logical, but there's many institutions that couldn't just buy Bitcoin. But now that it's on a stock exchange, they can buy the stock that gives them access to Bitcoin. It's kind of weird, but like that's a whole lot of money that can now get a portion of Bitcoin. It's not like these massive institutions are going to go and have 50% of their portfolio in crypto now. No, but 1 to 2% of many funds with many billions of dollars, like that'll move the needle. And then this new ETF really just legitimizes the asset class. To understand this one, you need to put yourself in the mind of someone who knows absolutely nothing about crypto. You've only ever heard of the extremes like we mentioned before. You've heard of the craziness, the exchanges that are stealing money. You've heard of the craziness, the people who, invested $20 and made $1 billion. That's all you've ever heard. The extremes, the mainstream media, whatever they have to say about crypto, that's all you've ever heard. But now you see there are 11 ETFs from some of the biggest financial institutions in the entire world supporting this. That is a whole lot of goodwill that's behind this asset class that in your head has been like, that's just that crazy thing that young kids are into, that like, I don't know. That is huge. And this is just the start of that. It really takes crypto from being an alternative asset class to being a legitimate asset class on the world stage with everything else. And that will be extremely important as time goes on. And I really just see this as one more checkbox ticked into just crypto in general. So does all of this mean that the bull run is officially on? Yes and no. Like, it's absolutely a good sign that we have this good news after literal years of nothing but bad, negative news. Like, that hit like a fever pitch, in 2021, but we really haven't recovered from the negative sentiment at that point in time. If there was months and months where it just like every couple weeks, it was like there was another explosion of negativity of something bad that happened in crypto. And really, if we were logical then, we would have looked at it and gone like, all right, things keep blowing up. This is bad. There's nothing but bad news at a certain point. It's going to take a while for people to forget about all of this bad news for things to start going up. And it feels like within the last couple months that like that opinion is starting to drift to the positive again, both because prices have gone up, but prices have to go up because of the positive sentiment in the first place. So it does, to me, feel like this isn't some kind of false rally this time. It feels like it's actually here to continue growing. On average, sure, we'll have ups and downs along the way, but it really does feel like it. And this also comes at the tail end of just a whole bunch of good vibes within the space. Like if you're on like crypto Twitter, you just see the general sentiment seems to be going up and up, and that is what precedes the eventual bull run. Once we're officially in bull run territory, it's probably too late to get all of those gains. Now's the time to really analyze prices. I'm not saying invest right now because obviously there's a ton of hype, like especially today, but now's the time to really watch things and pay attention to what's going on so you can lock in those profits in the future. Now, the big question from here is, where will prices go from here? And why is this ETF not enough to actually get us past that like faithful meme 100K mark? Like that is a milestone. That's a major milestone that we've been all kind of looking at for years and years. So why is this not enough? Straight after the approval, we saw some nice price action in Bitcoin and other cryptos. As of the recording of this, Bitcoin's up about like 8% on the day, and that could, change dramatically by the time you're seeing this. But I do have a word of warning here. It's my thought that the hype of the Bitcoin ETF is already priced into the market. And the reason for that is we knew that this was going to happen sometime early Q1 2024. So we're in early Q1 2024, and it happened. So like we got what we expected. And because basically everyone expected this, and because you can, I don't want to say you can trust too much, but like when a government agency goes and says like, yeah, expect this to happen, the market basically reacts to it at that point. So the price action has kind of already happened for the general sentiment around the ETF approval, but that isn't the full picture either. There is a positive note here, because what isn't priced in is all of that institutional buying. So yes, the hype of this is a thing that is now here, that's probably already priced in. But the actual price action of the billions of dollars of buying from these institutions and individuals who, they just want access through an ETF to crypto, that isn't priced in yet, but we'll see that over time. Like these big institutions, they're not likely making massive purchases all today. That'll happen over time, and we'll see price trend up over time. And we'll see these institutions just buy some crypto and hold it, set it aside, and do nothing with it, which is great, for the price. Lock it away. But again, like I keep saying, this ETF alone is not what will get Bitcoin up past $100,000. What will is psychology. This matters probably more than anything. Specifically, the psychology of FOMO, the fear of missing out. The entire stock market and everything money is based on this principle. The way to sell a stock is by making the price go up. The greatest indicator of a stock going up is the price already going up, because people hop on that wagon. I mean, just think about what happens to crypto every single time, or any stock or anything you've ever invested in. You probably heard about it because someone got some amount of gain in it, they made money, then you hopped in, and then hopefully you made some money too, or maybe you were too late and you lost money, because that happens to everyone as well. So we're all social animals. We follow the crowd. You can do your best not to, you can do your best to be an independent thinker, but like ultimately we are influenced by the actions of other people. So when Bitcoin is at $16,000, whatever it was a few months ago, even though you know that it's going to go up from there, you can be positive the odds that you actually purchased at that time are pretty slim. And then Bitcoin, crawls up from $16,000 up to $30,000, and you're like, all right, well, this is pretty close to my my average portfolio buy. It's, maybe your average is 35,000 or something like that. You're like, I could buy now, and like odds are, I'll make money, but I don't know, it could be 5 years before that happens. And then, it creeps up to 35,000 and then 40,000. You're like, shit, I should have bought at 16,000. I should have bought at 30,000. And, you're one of those people who are paying attention. There's a lot of people who just haven't been paying attention, or they just hear the news, through their friend, or, through third-party sources or whatever, and they're getting like the slowest news possible. So we're at this place where, price is trickling upwards. It's holding in a fairly good spot. Now we have this good news. It's rocketing to like year-end highs here. And you're starting to see more and more people go like, I should have invested. If I just invested at $30,000, I'd be up 50% right now, or whatever the math comes out to. But we'll see that happen more and more as the price increases. So, once we hit 50K, 55K, 60K, right around 60K is when anyone who's interested in crypto, they're back in, they're probably purchasing again. That's when this fear of missing out is going to go crazy, because people are like, I'm not going to miss the next big Bitcoin moment, because it's one of those things where it's like, everyone's like, it's gonna happen at some point, but I don't know when. And for some reason, there's just like fear in us that like, yeah, maybe I'll just guess wrong or whatever. But it's kind of like everyone feels like it's going to happen. So the fear of missing out is what will bring this to 100K. And you can just tell it will happen that way because, you know, again, we go to 60K, we pass the faithful, 69K, we hit 70K. That's when the news and everyone is blowing up. 70K on our way to 100. And then especially once you hit 80, 90, it's just going to launch straight to 100. Once it hits 100, I'm sure it'll be all over the place because that's been like such a locked in figure forever. There'll be a lot of selling. There's going to be a lot of action that goes on there. And I've talked about this before, but the psychology of FOMO is literally everything. Pay attention to this. Try to be a master of it. Study psychology, and you will become a better investor. That will be the reason that Bitcoin hits 100K. Maybe not directly because it's as a result of many other things. It's a result of the ETF checkbox being checked. It's a result of new technology being checked, new investors being checked, millions of tweets being sent out. It's a result of all those things that then creates a small result, that then creates a little bit of FOMO, that then creates an even larger result, that then creates even more FOMO, that creates an even larger price action that just blows the FOMO out of space. That's why meme coins blow up. Meme coins are pure FOMO. Pay attention to the FOMO and you'll become a master of this price. That is what will bring Bitcoin up over $100,000. Thank you for watching. It's a wonderful day for crypto. Love you. Bye.